Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Grimsley High School Project Restart community meeting. The purpose of this meeting is to share our Grimsley Project Restart plan with you. I know that we were scheduled to return to in-school learning on January 21st. However, that has been pushed back at least 3 weeks. However, we wanted to share with you our plan for our students' re-entry into learning. We will share our purpose, our plan, our procedures, and the things that we have put in place to make sure that our students are as safe as possible at Grimsley High School. We have a couple of housekeeping items that I want to bring to your attention before we begin. Firstly, if you have not yet muted your speaker or your microphone, could you please do so at this time? If you have not yet muted your microphone, please do so at this time. Could I ask one of my admin to monitor the participants? I know that we have a number of outside family members joining in and we have to admit them into. So if you click on the participants, and it should have a list, and anyone that is in the waiting room, we can allow them in. Also, I know that you'll have a number of questions with regards to our Project Restart plan. What I'm going to ask you to do is to write those questions down on a piece of paper. Then at the end, we will give you an opportunity to type your questions in, because hopefully we will be able to answer those questions that you may have written down throughout our presentation. I'm delighted to say that I have my administration team with me this evening. They will be assisting me with the presentation. I have my 9th grade administrator, Mr. Ingram. I have my 10th grade administrator, Ms. Hartgrove. My 11th grade administrator, Mr. Burnett. And my 12th grade administrator, Miss Eason. We have all worked together creating this plan and making sure that our students are safe. Next slide. As you know, our number one priority, and this is our number one priority, is the safety and well-being of all of our whirlies at Grimsley High School. This includes our teachers, our family members, and also our students. Everything that we have planned and everything that we will do will work together to ensure that our safe return for our whirlies. I know that the district have said we're at least 3 weeks away from opening, but we want to make sure that we share our plan with you so you are aware and you can plan accordingly as we move forward. So, next slide. The first one is our options, student options. I know there are many student options that are available to us. I'm going to ask Ms. Hartgrove to go over the options that we have available. Again, if you have not muted your microphone, please do so at this time.
Good afternoon or good evening, everyone. For student options, our students are able to choose to return in person with us when we are able to, or they may choose to stay remote and work from home with their Grimsley teachers and with their Grimsley classes. Any of our students who wish to return in person when we are able to, they do not need to do anything at this point. However, if you are choosing to stay remote with your Grimsley schedule and teachers, then you will need to go into Schoolmate and complete the e-learning application so that we can make sure that we have you down as a remote student and can count that in our numbers. If you need any help with completing the Schoolmate application, please call the school and let us know, and we will have somebody help you through that process. We have added a link and directions on how to do that on the Grimsley webpage for you to be able to access and complete. For our cohorts, for our students who are choosing to return in person, they will be assigned a cohort, either cohort 1, which will attend in person on Mondays and Tuesdays, which we will call A days, and then cohort 2 will attend in person on Thursdays and Fridays on what we are calling B days. This does not include our adaptive and our OCS students, as they will continue to come to us all 4 days. When our students are not with us in person, for our students who choose to stay in person, on the opposite day, they will join in their classes live through Microsoft Teams. So for example, if I am a Cohort 1 student, on Monday and Tuesday, I will come to campus and go to my classes in person. On Thursday and Friday, I will still attend classes, but I will join virtually from Microsoft Teams while at my house. So the students are still getting to see their teachers and participate in their classes 4 days a week. 2 days would be in person and 2 days would be virtually. Now, our students who choose to remain virtual, we are doing everything we can for them to keep their same schedule and their same teachers. And so they will join their classes live through Microsoft Teams from home all 4 days. And as of right now, Wednesday will remain a conference day for students so that students can have individual conferences with their teachers or receive support from their teachers in small groups. So here is that schedule for the week for when we return in person, just outlining which day our students will return, and on that opposite day that they will be learning from home, joining in through Microsoft Teams. We will be mailing schedules home once we have a definitive date for us to return to campus, so that you will know which cohort your student is assigned to, as well as the periods for their classes and the room numbers. And the room numbers will be very important, as we may have to shift some of our classes into different classrooms on campus due to the class size and safety protocols, so that we can ensure that our students are able to safely social distance in our classrooms.
Stargrove. So I just want to caveat to that as well. We did have a challenge with Schoolmate with the district. The district did close Schoolmate for a certain amount of time. That was a mistake for closing. They have opened it back up. And I do not want parents to be confused with the e-learning academy title. They have to give it a title for it to populate in Schoolmate. The student, if they remain remote for the remainder of the school year, when they complete Schoolmate, they will remain a Grimsley student. As Miss Hartgrove said, we are doing everything possible to ensure that they will remain with their teacher and their class, and they will follow the same schedule as they would do if they were in the building. So we are doing everything possible with regards to that. At this time, we have about 300 of our students and families who have decided that it would be best for the students, for their child to remain remote for the remainder of the school year. Now, I want to give you a caveat also with regards to this. If you do choose for your child to remain remote for the remainder of the school year, and then decide in March, April, that it would be best for your child to come back into school, this will be very difficult for us to do. As Ms. Hartgrove said, we have scheduled our classes to be in line with COVID-19 numbers of a class. So for example, if a class had 12 students physically in that classroom, and the maximum number of students allowed in that classroom is 12, and a parent decides that they want to bring their child back into school to be in-person learning, that would then push that class over that 12 limit. So therefore, the class would not be able to meet in that physical classroom, which therefore would then have an impact on the rest of the school and the rest of the scheduling. Plus, it would also impact not only that one class, but it would impact the rest of the 5 classes that would take place. However, if we do have a student who is in school and for some reason, in communication with their parents, decided that this isn't working, there's too many students at school, I just don't feel safe, and they decide that I want my child to be remote for the remainder of the school year, not remote for 2 weeks, not remote for 3 weeks, but remote for the remainder of the school year, we will work with that family on an individual basis, because that will be a lot easier for us to do. Being remote and deciding to come back in would be near impossible for us to do. So I want to make sure that we're aware of that. Okay, to give us more information on our schedule, I'm going to ask Mr. Burnett to give us more information on our schedule for the second semester.
Good evening, everyone. As we look at our second semester, we have been operating the first semester on A-Day, B-Day. You're doing 3 classes each particular day. As we start the second semester, we have to get back some of that time and some of that pacing. So we will be having our teachers teach all 6 of their classes on each day. If you have a 0 period, that would be a 7th class, and the time schedules are listed there. Now, there are 2 ways to look at this schedule. The first we're going to look at is if we're actually back on campus. If you are having a 0 period, you will return about 8:30ish, maybe 8:25 to be able to check in, and that would be from 8:37 to 9:30. Homeroom would be from 9:40 to 10 o'clock. During homeroom, students will be able to receive their breakfast because breakfast will need to be in the classrooms. This will give us time to check every student in as they go through the protocols of getting their temperature checks, making sure the attestation has been done and completed. And then we will be able to start first period around 10 o'clock. All of our periods are about 49 to 50 minutes, roughly. And we do have a 10-minute transition period for everybody to get prepared for the next class. We will be doing all 6 periods, and then our lunch is going to be doing 4th period towards the end of the period, and they will have roughly about 20 minutes to eat in the classroom for lunch. We will not transition for breakfast or lunch. Those areas will need to be kept at a certain number, so you'll be having breakfast and lunch in your classrooms. Again, this is if we're on campus for those 2 days. Now, currently, because of what the district has voted upon, we will begin second semester remote. So students will be abiding by this schedule, first period through 6th period, and then also attending their 0 period from home. But starting second semester, January 21st, students will attend all 6 of their classes, and then the extra class if you do have a 0 period. The lunch period, while we are virtual, will be from 12:47 to 1:17. That will be the time frame that you are going to be able to eat while you're at home while we're doing our virtual learning, which will be Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Currently, we still will be using Wednesdays as our conference days and opportunities for small groups, as Ms. Hartgrove mentioned earlier. The biggest thing that is going to be a factor for us is to practice our best safety measures while we're on campus. That is going to be requiring us to wash our hands, sanitize our hands, cover our face by wearing a mask, and then make sure we create space by being 6 feet apart. The hand sanitizing stations have been installed in each classroom throughout the school. This is new for us. We've had sanitizing stations around the school and in different popular areas, but they have now installed a hand sanitizing station in each classroom. And again, that goes back to we're going to have breakfast and lunch in the classrooms. Students will be needing to make sure they sanitize their hands before they eat and then after they eat. Again, we are requiring that masks be worn at all times while students are on campus, except for the times that they are eating. Those are the only times that they're not allowed to have their mask on. And again, making sure we stay 6 feet apart. To go in detail about those face coverings, when wearing a mask on campus, there are certain types of masks that are approved. A cloth mask, a medical grade mask, and gaithers are approved for students to be able to wear. Students are not allowed to wear bandanas to cover their face. That cannot be used as a face mask. Students also are allowed to wear a face shield when it is in addition to a mask that is already approved, being a cloth mask, a medical mask, and a gaither. You cannot wear just a face shield alone. The face shield has to come in conjunction with an approved mask.
Thank you, Mr. Burnett. So what we want to do now is really dive into our what the school day will look like from the arrival to school as we move through the school day to dismissal. So I'm going to ask Mr. Ingram to give us an overview and go through our student arrival.
Good evening, everyone. Students cannot begin arriving to campus before 9:20. unless they have a 0-period class. If they have a 0-period class, they can begin arriving around 8:20. Students with a 0-period will be checked in at the main building before reporting to class. We'll begin checking in students in at 9:30 each day. All students must be checked in by having their temperature taken and recorded and by completing the student check-in attestation form. Bus riders will be checked in as they get off the bus. Car riders and drivers will be checked in by the main gym, one by the marquee and one by the gates. Walkers will be checked in by the attendance office by Ms. Peterson and Ms. Spencer. Once students are checked in, they will receive a stamp to indicate that they have been checked in or cleared to enter the building. The stamp is right here, consists of the month, the date, and the year. It's pretty easy to wipe off. It won't last past first period. First period planning teachers will be monitoring the building during arrival to make sure that only students who have been cleared are entering the building. Any student who has a fever, has been exposed to COVID, has been tested and is awaiting results or is experiencing any symptoms will not be allowed on campus and will be asked to return home. If they are a bus rider, they will be taken to the isolation room to wait for someone to come and pick them up. And the administrators will be in the isolation room with them and will be calling parents to come and pick them up. While transitioning to their classes, students should maintain social distancing and report directly to their class. Students who arrive after the morning check-in should report directly to the attendance office for check-in and have their temperatures taken.
Thank you, Ms.
All right, good evening, everyone.
Go ahead, Ms.
I'm going to focus on what does the rest of the day look like. And so, as Mr. Burnett mentioned, the meals on campus will happen in the classroom. And so breakfast and lunch will be delivered to all students. If your child wants to bring their lunch, they're more than welcome to. And so after the first day or two, once we identify which students will be bringing their lunch, then we won't necessarily have to deliver all students' lunches. However, we will begin with all students receiving breakfast and lunch from the school. This year, we will not allow seniors to leave campus for lunch just in order to keep everyone safe and make sure that we have everyone accounted for. And due to safety concerns, we are not allowing students to have delivered food to campus. Parents can drop off lunch, but we are really hoping and encouraging our parents to only deliver and drop off lunches if your child forgets. We do not want to continue what we've done in the past, pre-COVID days, of having our parents just bring lunches to their students. However, it's in the case of emergency and your child forgets their lunch that day, then you're more than welcome to drop it off in the attendance office. Students will be provided with their cleaning wipes to make sure their desks are clean after they eat. And we will also make sure that students are using hand sanitizer as well as washing their hands for those classrooms that have sinks in them after they eat their lunch and breakfast. The next idea that we are wanting to make sure that we have our students prepared for are bathroom breaks. We do have our bathroom set up now so that no more than 2 students are actually allowed in the bathroom. And so with that, we are suggesting that teachers allow students to leave out of the classroom to use the restroom. And with that, they'll have a sign-out log so we can keep up with our students and identifying where they are during the class period. It is suggested that students, again, try to use the restroom during class sessions versus class breaks because of the number of students moving through. We want to encourage that there are only 2 students in the restroom. And so, again, in order to keep up with our students and for contact tracing purposes, we do want all of our students to use a log when they are leaving the classroom for whatever reasons. And so during those class changes, we are asking all students to make sure that they wipe down their desk areas after they finish there before they head on to their next class period. And if we have students that would like to wipe down their desks as they come into the next classroom setting, they're more than welcome to do so. We do have the resources and materials for our students to use to ensure that everything is properly disinfected. And so during the class changes, the administrative team will be monitoring students outdoors and in the hallways, making sure they are moving quickly to their next destination. We are encouraging all students to make sure they are social distancing and not congregating in between classes. Teachers will be on duty as well in the hallways during transition to make sure that our students are moving expeditiously to the next location. And as we prepare for the close of day, we will be dismissing students by buildings, making sure that students are remaining socially distanced and have an opportunity to exit the building to their respective areas quickly and without too much interaction with others. Students will not be able to leave their classes until that particular building that they're in is actually dismissed. Upon dismissal, we are encouraging all students to head straight to their bus and or car so that they can quickly leave the campus. More information will be provided to everyone regarding the clubs and locations as far as any after school opportunities, and we'll have those details finalized soon and shared with all of you.
Thank you, Ms. Eason.
You're welcome.
Could you share about our student devices, please?
Absolutely. So we have, unfortunately, some students still who don't have a device to be able to access their classes right now. And the new devices for the district for all of our students are on the way. In the event that we return to campus before those are in and we have been able to distribute them to all of our students, your student may be asked to bring their personal device with them from home to use on campus if they have one. And again, that is in the event that the new devices for all of our students are not in and have been distributed yet. We are providing charging stations in each of our classrooms for our students who may need to charge their device, either in the event that the battery starts to run low due to use during the school day, or maybe they forgot to charge it the night before, or the battery just isn't staying charged long. So there will be a charging station for students to use in their classrooms in that event. One thing that we are encouraging our students to do when they bring their device to campus, because we will have students who are in class and students who are joining from home at the same time, so that they are able to communicate with each other and still do group work and collaborate with each other. The students who are in person may be joining Teams meetings with their classmates who are at home. And in those events, our students who are on campus will need to have headphones with them to be able to prevent echo and feedback in the classroom. So that may be something that you want to make sure that you have ready to bring with you if you are choosing to return in person. In terms of contact tracing and exposures, and if you are asked to quarantine and or isolate, we want to provide as much information as we can in regards to that so that you can feel safe knowing that your student is going to be safe with us if they are return on campus. If your student is experiencing any symptoms or they have been exposed to someone who has tested positive, your student is not able to come to campus, we do need you to notify us as soon as possible so that we can begin following our safety protocols in those instances and notifying the health department if need be so that they can begin contact tracing. And the health department is who takes care of contact tracing if we have a positive case on campus. So Guilford County Schools will notify the health department. They will work in close contact with us, and we will provide class rosters and lists so that they know who they potentially need to contact in the event of an exposure. And if you get a phone call that you have been exposed from the health department, they will give you as much information as they can. And then a member of Grimsley administration will also follow up with you just to make sure that you're doing okay and see if there's anything else that you need. We do follow HIPAA guidelines, so no personal information will be shared. Your student's name will only be shared with us in the event so that we can follow up with you and will not be shared with anybody else on campus in that event. Now, once your student arrives to campus and they go through the check-in procedure, they will have their temperature taken and they will complete the student check-in or the attestation form to identify if they are experiencing any symptoms. If the case arises where we have a student who has a fever or they are showing symptoms and they do not have an immediate way home, meaning they were not a car rider or they didn't ride with somebody, or it's a student who develops symptoms during the day and they do not have their car on campus to be able to drive home. We will place them in the isolation room, which is on campus. It is monitored by members of the administration, as Mr. Ingram stated earlier. We will then be calling you to let you know that your student is there because they've either have temperature or they're showing symptoms. And we will ask that you pick them up as soon as you are able to, so that we can ensure that your student is safe and that the other students and staff on campus are safe as well. When we call you, we will give you directions and procedures for how to check your student out and where to pick them up on campus when you do arrive. But we do want to make sure that you are aware that your student will be monitored and supervised the entire time that they are in the isolation room. They will not be in there by themselves, and we will be looking after them until you are able to get here.
Thank you, Ms. Hargrove. So I know that there are a lot of information that you received. Thank you to everyone who has already read the Project Restart plan that we shared out on the school website, on the Canvas morning announcements, also on the Grimsley PTSA Facebook and the Grimsley Facebook page. Basically, the presentation that we gave you now was a summary of the Project Restart that we posted, breaking it down into bullet points. So we want to have the opportunity now for you to ask any questions that you may have. So I asked you at the beginning to write down on in a pencil and paper any questions that you had with regards to the Project Restart at Grimsley. Now remember, we're focusing on the Project Restart, so if you could take this opportunity now to type in your questions in the conversation. We will wait until we'll give you a couple of minutes to type your question, and then we will go through those questions and hopefully answer every single one of them. Okay, so we are going to start working on answering the questions. Keep those questions coming in. Hopefully, if we answer the questions as we go through. So, Miss Harper, are you there?
Yes, sorry, I was muted.
That's okay. Go on, ask your question, Miss Harper.
I heard that there is the opportunity for breakout groups for the students to be able to interact with students that may be learning at home that day. But other than those breakout groups, are there going to be, is there any online learning that's going to be going on while the students that are in the classroom are in the classroom? For instance, are the students going to be using their laptops to log into a class that's going on with the teacher who's not in the room?
So the teacher, that's a great question. Thank you for the question. So the students will be working with the teacher that is in front of them teaching, physically in front of them teaching. If they are in the building, and the students who are remote will be looking into the class using the Teams meeting like we are doing now. We're going to be continuing to use Canvas as our learning platform. Because that's going to allow our students to who are remote to participate in the class, submit any assignments. So we are going to continue using the Canvas, and we are going to continue using Teams. So the students won't be doing any different online learning for a different class. They will be working on the class that they are physically in, if that makes sense.
Okay, so if the class has too many people for one classroom, you will not be dividing the kids into two different groups, and half of the kids stay in the classroom with the teacher and the other half of the kids go into a different classroom and log in and do the online learning.
No, so we, as you know, we've divided the school basically into Cohort 1 and Cohort 2. basically AA day or BB day. So we've divided the school into that. We've done that purposefully to make sure that we're, for example, if we do have a class, that we are able to split that class into two. So half of the class will come on Monday and Tuesday. The other half of the class is watching virtually, and the other half of the class will come on Thursday and Friday, while the other half will watch it virtually through Teams. So we've made sure that we have used all the buildings, all the classrooms in the building. So, for example, if it's English in Miss Rosalmond's class split into two, for example, A day and B day. However, students on A day will all be together. They may be in a different location. It may not be in Miss Rosalmond's classroom. We may have to relocate that entire class to another room that is larger, that is able to accommodate the half of those students who are coming on AA day. And then obviously it will switch on BB day. So if your child is in school, they will be physically in that teacher's classroom with the teacher in front of them.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Harper. Okay, I'm going to go down. Ms. Barrow?
Hi, Mr. O'Donnell. Thanks for having this forum today. I just want to be very clear that when the second semester starts on January 21st, we are changing to this new all-day schedule as it was presented, even though we're still remote.
Yes, so what we have to understand and what we have to believe is that we're coming back to school. We were scheduled to come, back to school next week, January 21st. We were scheduled to come back to school. And we're going to come back to school at some point. We have to believe that. And so I firmly believe that we are coming back. It could be 3 weeks away. It could be 4 weeks away. It could be 5 or 6 weeks away. But we have to know that we are coming back to school at some point. And so the beginning of the second semester is a perfect time to begin our new schedule for our return to school. Now, I realize that it's going to be remote, but we have to start this schedule because we have to get into the routine of being in school. So yes, we will, even though we are remote, we'll begin the new schedule beginning January 21st. You have a follow-up question, Ms. Barrow?
No, thank you. That's good. Thank you.
Okay, super. All right, I'm going to keep going down. Okay, Miss Burton?
Yeah, my
Sorry, I apologize.
that's fine. I'm using my child's account. My children are Spanish immersion children, and we live outside of the district, and it's vitally important that they can come drive both of them in one car to park on campus to get to school. I know we don't know when school is going to start officially, but through which channel and how far ahead and whatnot will parking passes be distributed?
So that's a great question, and welcome to Grimsley. So our goal was to go live with the purchasing of the parking places on Thursday and Friday of this week. We were hoping to go live for a donation of $25. Your child would be able to purchase a parking spot for the remainder of the school year. We're pushing that back because we want to make sure we want to get it closer to the beginning of the school year, the beginning of when our students returning. So students will be able to purchase their parking spot. It will be online. It will all be done through our website and Canvas, in which parents will be able to click. It will take them to the Grimsley Booster page where you'll be able to pay online. Then your child will be able to pick up their parking pass, which they will keep, and that will be their parking spot for the remainder of the school year. Traditionally, we've had students had set days for our seniors, for our juniors and sophomores, in which they would physically come on campus and purchase the parking spots and be able to pick out their parking places. We have a set area for our seniors, a set area for our juniors, and a set area for our sophomores. That's going to be done virtually this school year. We don't have a set date now because the district we pushed it back 3 weeks. Our goal was to go live on Thursday and Friday, but we want to just hold off until we are closer to the date.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Finnegan, Mr. Finnegan? Danny Finnegan? So the microphone might not be working. The question was, will students in the
my mic wasn't working, but yeah, go ahead and read it. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
We're just wondering if the teacher assignments will remain the same for the cohort students. I heard you say that's what you're trying to do for the students who are staying at home.
Yeah.
So that was our big question.
So the cohorts will remain the same as well. Miss Hartgrover and my administration team and Miss Calhoun have worked really hard to ensure that we're able to keep all of our students with their teachers, whether you are remote and or whether you're in school. So yeah, so the teacher that your child has got now will be the same teacher as moving forward for each of the classes. Okay, so I'm going to move on. I'm going to go to okay, I'm going to go to Miss Good. I don't want to pronounce the name incorrectly. Goodten?
Yeah, Gautam. So I was wondering how many students there would be on campus each day, specifically for this cohort group.
So so for A and B day, we're looking rough. The numbers are changing constantly because we have parents signing up for the remote learning. So roughly, it's going to be about 950 for each cohort.
Okay, thank you.
So 950 will be on AA day, and roughly about 950 will be on BB day.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Ethan Graff.
Hi, Mr. O'Donnell. This is Diane Graff. Ethan's at
Yes.
practice,
Yes.
and I'm just using his computer. But we were just wondering if he started out with in-person learning and then we changed our mind based on numbers or what's happening with COVID. If you decide to then go remote, would the teachers remain the same?
Yes, the teachers would remain the same. As I said, it's a lot easier to go from being in person to remote than it is from remote to in person, and I've talked about that previously. But yeah, the teacher would remain the same because it's an easy switch. If we're going to be honest, Ms. Graff, they would just remain online and continue to work with the same students. They would just be remote Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday with the same teacher.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Miss Dillard.
Hi there.
Miss Dillard.
I just had a quick question. I'm trying to wrap my brain around this and make sure I understand. And it's probably simple. So that you're telling me with the classes, the teachers will be teaching in person and managing the online learners all at the same time.
Yeah, so that's currently happening. So that's currently happening with our adaptive curriculum students. We have the swivel cameras, which follows the teacher around. We have put an order in for the swivel cameras. It's kind of a remote camera that follows the teacher. They have like a GPS on them or something that helps them, and so that will follow them around. We've ordered those from the district. But in the meantime, the teachers are going to be using their laptops that they just received. They'll set up the laptop with the camera on it and the microphone on it, and it will point at the teacher. So the teacher will be teaching the class, and then also we'll have the students in front of them like we are speaking now. So I would have my students in the class behind the camera, behind the screen, also having the students at home. And Ms. Dillard, we know it's not ideal. We know it's not ideal, and we know there's going to be challenges. And you know, my teachers are amazing because it's going to be hard work for them. It's going to be double duty in a way because you've got, even though it's one class, you've got a group that's online and you've got a group physically in the classroom. And so we realize it's a challenge. We just want to get our students safely back on campus, and this is one way that we're able to do it.
Absolutely. Okay. I just wanted to make sure I understood that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Miss Barr?
Hello, I'm sorry, I have so many questions in there.
That's all right. You can choose your top 5.
Alrighty. So during the transition period in between classes, since there's just such a massive volume of kids going this way and that, how will that work?
So obviously we cannot stagger the students leaving classrooms. So you cannot say, for example, you cannot say we're holding the main building while the old science move to their next class, because a lot of the students will be in the main building. And so they'll be waiting outside. So we have to release all of our students at the same time. We started off by putting in one-way systems. We're going to continue with that on our stairwells. The main hallway that we have in the main building is wide enough to have students on the right-hand side and the left-hand, walking on the right-hand side. And we do have some one-way systems throughout the campus. We were going to do that throughout the campus. However, that's just not possible when the weather is not helping us. If it's raining outside, we cannot expect students to go on that one-way system outside. So we have put a number of processes and procedures in place to make sure that students in certain buildings are on a one-way system where it is possible. But we realize that we're going to have to rely on our teachers who are going to be on their doors. We're going to have to rely on our administration to make sure that students are not loitering and moving to their classes quickly and quietly in safety. And we're also, Jack, we're going to have to rely on the students to make sure that they're following the instructions and getting to their classes in a timely fashion. We have put 10 minutes between class. And this was something that we had a real debate about, Jack, because I'm under the impression that if you give the students longer, that's a greater time for them to socialize. However, we also realize that some of our teachers will be moving classes as well. And we wanted to give our teachers the opportunity to be able to move to their next class, which may be somewhere else on campus, so they're able to get set up as well. So a lot of it, Jack, is down to the procedures that were put in place, but a lot of it is also people following the instructions and the rules that were put in place to make sure that everyone is safe.
All right, thank you.
Okay, you had some more questions, Jack?
Yes. How will the service learning diplomas work? Because I haven't heard anything about those other than the fact that they exist and you need to have a certain number of hours in, but nothing more.
Ms. Hargrove, could you jump in on that one for me, please?
Absolutely. So we had two service learning meetings back in the fall to kind of explain how the process works and what it will look like this year. Both virtually, both were recorded. All of the information is still in Canvas on the Worley Connection Canvas page, because for our seniors who are working on either the diploma or the exemplary award, the number of hours has been prorated due to the fact that we are remote right now. So traditionally, if you receive 100 service learning hours during your high school career, you receive the Service Learning Exemplary Award. And if you receive 250 hours during those 4 years, you receive the Service Learning Diploma, which also comes with a cord and recognition at graduation. But due to us being remote for, now half of the school year, those numbers have been reduced, and those new prorated numbers for our students are on the Worley Connection Canvas page. Depending on how long we do continue to be remote, the district is looking at potentially changing that number again. There are some virtual service learning opportunities also on the Service Learning Worley Connection Canvas page for students to complete. We actually are getting ready to get a new virtual service learning opportunity for our students who wish to do those hours from the district. But Jack, if you have any specific questions about service learning and your hours and anything like that, please feel free to reach out to either Ms. Hunt or myself, and we will answer all of your questions.
Thank you. Yeah, I was just curious because on the service learning page, the buttons for the PowerPoint recording aren't actually linked up to anything.
Oh.
Thank you for pointing that out. I will check that out tonight.
All right, thank you.
But Jack, make sure you go into the Worley Connections page, okay? On the canvas. Jack, you had a couple more questions.
Yes. How would lockers work? Because in a normal school year, everyone's just packed in there like sardines. So how will will every student be able to have a locker and still maintain the 6-foot social distancing?
So, is this your first year, Jack, at Grimsley?
Yes, it is. I am a 9th grader.
I know. So, and welcome, Jack. I think we've spoken before and I've visited you. I've seen you in classes. So, traditionally at Grimsley, Grimsley is a unique place, and I know you might have been in there and looked around and see lots of lockers. Students don't get lockers at Grimsley. We offer lockers to students, but traditionally and historically, for some reason, students do not get lockers at Grimsley. I think because the campus is so large that you have to transition from one building to another building. You don't have time to go to your locker. So I'm going to say, off the top of my head, Mr. Ingram might be able to help me. We have about 5 students in the entire building in the entire school who have lockers in the main buildings.
Okay, thank you. Because in my middle school, there were double lockers where 2 people shared one.
Yep. At Kaiser, each student got a locker. Each student got an individual locker at Kaiser.
All right, thank you.
All right.
And
go on, Jack. Yep.
The students who failed the first 2 quarters or just the first quarter because they didn't have any devices to access their classes on, will they stay having failed those first quarters?
No, so we're not failing any student who didn't have one of 3 things. One, they didn't have their own device. So I know a lot of our students are having to share their devices with a brother or sister. We also have many of our students who don't have consistent Wi-Fi connectivity. And then we also have a lot of our students, especially at the beginning, the first semester, it was a real challenge, didn't have a device at all. There was not a device at all. So we are not failing the students for that. We're providing the students with an incomplete, and we will allow the students to make up that work through credit recovery, so they will get a passing grade for that quarter and that semester.
Okay, good. Just wanted to make sure that there is something being done about that, because it wouldn't be good if people failed just because they didn't have access to devices.
Jack, I like what you're saying. That's a great question, and yes, it would not be good. It would not be good.
Thank you.
Not a problem. Okay, Sigurd?
I had a question about how car riders and bus riders would be getting off the bus. Will they be getting their temperature checked before they get on the bus? Because
that's a great question as well. I know there was some talk, Sigurd, about the bus drivers checking the temperatures of the students as they come on the bus. That's not possible with the bus driver having to drive and also check temperatures. So my administration team and teachers and team will be checking the students' temperatures as they disembark from the buses. With regards to car riders, with regards to people who are getting a ride from their parents to school, we will be pulling our students in from the Benjamin Parkway entrance, and we will be checking those temperatures outside the gymnasium.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good questions. Okay, I'm going to keep going down. I'm going to go down to Mr. Bernard. So Mr. Bernard asked, when returning to class, how many kids per class? Well, that's all depending on the size of the classroom. We have classes that can hold up to 25 students, and then we have classes that can hold 8 students to be in line with the COVID-19 procedures and policies to make sure all of our students are safe. So it will be determined, the classroom size will determine how many students are actually physically in that classroom.
Would that change day to day?
That will not change day to day, because we will have a set schedule. We will have a set roster for the students, so we will know exactly how many students can fit in that classroom. Remember, we're going to have our AA day and also going to have our BB day, Monday, Tuesday AA, Thursday, Friday, BB day. So we have looked at the entire campus to see which spaces we can use. So we're going to be using the cafeteria, we're going to be using the media center, we're even going to be using the auditorium to make sure that our students are safe and we have the appropriate number in those rooms.
And while they're in the class, they're wearing a mask the entire time?
Besides
eating?
Students are wearing their masks throughout the entirety of the day unless they are eating.
Okay.
And then they have to stay 6 feet apart. So we have set up our classrooms so we're from nose to nose, it's 6 feet from the next person.
Is it any way you think parents can, I know y'all don't want us on campus or anything, but the way the classrooms are set up, is it any way parents can go and view that before the kids come to school?
Well, we scheduled an orientation day for our 9th graders. It was meant to be on January 20th because we realized that our 9th graders didn't have an orientation day, didn't have a chance to walk around the campus and see the different buildings and so forth. We're still planning on having that. However, we're going to push it back until we know what date we are actually returning to school. So we have scheduled that. The district has, I'm going to be honest, the district has indicated that it would not be safe to have families back on campus.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe you could upload a picture or a sample to just kind of like see what it looks like.
I will take a couple of photographs from the and I'll post them on the Canvas morning announcements. So you know I do my Canvas announcements in the morning on your Canvas webpage, on the Canvas page, and so I'll post them on there so parents can have a look at it and see what it looks like. But that's a good idea. I think I'll do that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, I'm going to keep going through. Miss Dillard asked about the students who have sports. So I think what Miss Eason said, one of my admins said, once for dismissal, it was Miss Eason, for dismissal, students, if they have after school sports, would report to that area for their after school sports. If they have an after school club, they would report to that area for their after school club. If they don't have either, they are to either get on the bus or go to their car to be picked up to go home. We want to clear the campus to make sure that it is safe. But if you have sports, you report to the sports. So if it would be soccer, if it would be volleyball, if it would be football, you would report to that area if you had practice that evening. And then Jack asks about the virtual work. We're going to be using a blended strategy. So some teachers will be using pencil and paper along with the Canvas learning platform. Our main go-to is going to be Canvas. It's worked well so far for the beginning of the school year, and we're going to be continuing with that also. He also asked if we have multiple students need to be placed in isolation. The students will be placed in isolation. They will be 6 feet apart from the other student who is in there. So we've set that up so students will be socially distanced even if they are in the isolation room. And then we have 2 more questions. Are all teachers planning on returning to teach in person, or will some be online? Well, at the moment, we do have some teachers who are working at home, and we have some teachers who are coming into the building. The teachers who are working at home are working with the district at this time and have permission to work from home for a number of reasons, and we support those teachers because the learning still continues. With regards to after our students return to school, we have a small number who have indicated that they may not be returning to school. We are working with that teachers to ensure that they are able to continue to teach. What we are having a challenge with is to ensure that they have coverage for that class when they are teaching at home. We still need an adult, a teacher, a TA in that classroom to make sure that the students are safe and orderly. Will classes be recorded on Teams? Yes, classes will continue to be recorded on Teams. And the last question we have, if a student is homesick, can they simply log into the online class and not get marked absent? They will be able to do that. However, when they return to school, if it is an AA student, when they return to school, they will need to bring a note into school explaining their illness. if they not bring a note to school and return it to the teacher and the attendance office, that will be that class as an unexcused absence. So if you are meant to be in school on A day, then you need to be in school on the A days. If you are meant to be in school on the B days, you need to be in school on the B days. If you're unable to do so, you need to bring in a note to make sure that it's not an unexcused absence. And we have one more question. If there is a positive case of COVID identified, will the students who have been exposed to the student be notified? Will the classes where the student has been required to quarantine? Well, we don't quarantine anyone with regards, as a school, we don't quarantine anyone. We work with the Guildford Health Department. The Guildford Health Department, we will give the names of the students who the student or teacher who has been in contact with in the classes or somewhere else in the building. We will give those names to the Guildford Health Department. The Guildford Health Department will then decide whether whether those students or staff members need to be contacted because they came in close contact over a given amount of time. So again, we don't quarantine. The Guildford Health Department does. We work closely with the Guildford Health Department to help them make that decision. Okay, so again, we have recorded this meeting. We are going to be sharing it out. We're going to be having another meeting tomorrow to make sure that all of our parents have the opportunity to ask questions, to listen to our Project Restart plan. Again, I want to thank all of you for all the support that you have given me, given my administrative team, and given our teachers, ensuring that teaching and learning continues even during the pandemic. Our goal is to get students back into school safely. I'm saying safely, and we follow science and the guidance of the Guildford County Schools Board. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful evening.
All right. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening, Mr. O'Donnell and everyone else.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you, Jack, JDB.
Okay, team, we're going to log off. I want to say thank you so much. I thought the meeting went extremely well. We were able to give good information and answer all the questions that our parents had. I appreciate every single one of you. You did excellent this evening. We look forward to another excellent community evening tomorrow night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great